Welcome, dear all. We are so great to see all of you. Good evening. And once again, salam alaikum to all those who are joining EWB Thursday webinar. And as a tradition, we call it investment time. And we welcome all the teachers, English language educators who would like to receive the fresh from the field to join this Thursday webinar. And every week we host extraordinary specialists and professionals from English language teaching from all over the world. And today we are super excited to introduce our speaker today, Professor Ghadah Rahman. So we had the privilege to meet with her this year in Uzbekistan in January during the Silk Road Conference in Tashkent, and we are so excited to host her today. And of course, yes, please join as soon as possible because our speaker is going to share really great presentation today and share from her extensive teaching experience. Welcome, Ghadah. So it's so great to see you virtually. Welcome to Tajikistan, and for all those who don't know about our speaker, let me just share some brief bio. Ghadah Rahman is a second-year English language fellow based at Torgayirov University in Pavlodar, Kazakhstan. So if I pronounced it correctly, yes. And she currently teaches academic writing and is a consultant at the First Writing Center established in Kazakhstan universities. She's from the state of Florida, where she was an English teacher to secondary students and a lecturer at the community college in her city. So Ghadah's workshops are informed by the research studies she conducted while completing her master's degree in applied linguistics and social linguistics, and the research she conducted with Kazakhstani English teachers and the challenges they face when teaching writing in their classrooms. Workshops are dedicated to promoting cultural diversity and helping teachers develop their craft. So welcome once again. Dear audience, please get engaged and also prepare your questions to our speaker after her presentation. And yes, all those who are watching us on Facebook, you are also very, very welcome to join and get engaged with our webinar today. And of course, yeah, please share your questions in the chat box or comment box, so we'll make sure to pass them to our presenter afterwards. Okay, so let's get started, and then over to you, dear Ghadah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nasiba. Thank you, Zuro, for helping me plan and get everything together. Welcome, dear teachers, dear guests. It's such a privilege to be here with English Without Borders. I met Nasiba last year in Uzbekistan. I absolutely loved being in Uzbekistan. And I'm definitely coming back. Definitely Tashkent and Bukhara and Samarkand. It was just absolutely beautiful. And definitely Tajikistan is next on the list. So it's such a pleasure to be here with everybody. So we're going to get started. I'm going to give you also a little bit more about myself. So here we go. All right, great. So my name is Ghadah Rahman. I am an English language fellow with the English language programs that is supported by the embassy in Astana, Kazakhstan, also by the Department of State in the US. And basically, they send very experienced, educated teachers, around the world. And I just thought it was such a great idea to take this next step in my career. And that's why I am here. Just a little bit about me and to share about also sharing about the diversity of the United States. I am Palestinian. I am Palestinian by ethnicity and lineage. I was actually born in Algeria, North Africa, because my parents were living there. My father was a teacher in Algeria. So that's why we were there. And then around 2, 3 years old, my uncle decided to invite my parents to come to the United States, and he sponsored them. And we came to the US afterwards. And I didn't become a United States citizen till I was around 17 years old, because my parents always thought, we're going to go back to Palestine. We're going to go back. Of course, with a lot of the problems that we have there, it was just too difficult to go back. And we ended up just staying in the US. I attended the New York City public school system from about first grade to 12th grade. Then in New York, I finished my bachelor's degree in the City University of New York, also known as Lehman College. City University is huge. There's about 5 or 6 big campuses there, colleges, and I got my bachelor's degree in English literature and writing, and also secondary education, which gave me the certification to be able to teach high school students. And I did that for a really long time. I have 5 children of my own, very proud of my children. They're wonderful. And when they grew up a little bit, I went back and I got my master's degree, and I did it in TESOL linguistics and applied linguistics. And so I just wanted to keep going. I just never wanted to stop my development, stop my growth. And I just thought it was like time to do my master's degree, and I did. And here I am. So I did about 20 years of teaching middle school and high school students, which is about 6th to 12th grade. And then when I got my master's degree, I moved into higher education and taught in a community college in the United States. In the last 2 years in Kazakhstan, it's been about a year and a half. It's really been an incredible experience. Kind of working alongside other teachers. I mean, it's just wonderful to be able to work alongside the teachers in Kazakhstan. I met a lot of teachers in Uzbekistan, and just, the desire to want to develop yourself is definitely there. So it's been such a pleasure meeting so many different people, connecting, and just really growing together as colleagues. So today my presentation is called Strategy for Teaching Academic Writing to Students. And I really believe this is an important topic because the why of writing, right? Why should we care to teach our students writing, especially writing in English? Well, we know that English is a global language. It's the language where we communicate with each other, from people through all walks of life. This happens to be the language that we communicate in. And our students, they need to be able to use all forms of communication, and writing is a form of communication. Now, in Kazakhstan last year, I did a study with a colleague of mine in the university, and we wanted to do a study on teachers and what their perspective was in writing English in the classroom. So to our surprise, we found that writing is very difficult for teachers, especially when their first language is not English, to teach this to their students. So we found just a host of issues in that. And so I decided with that research to start really just helping teachers develop in this area, develop in teaching writing. So why is writing important? It's extremely important. Writing is a deep level process from the inside of, who we are, who our students are. And, we found that teachers find it very difficult to teach, lack of vocabulary, lack of grammar skills, lack of ideas. Sometimes students are just not motivated because it's just too much for them to communicate in another language, especially with writing. So the research findings that we found, and when we did our research, we found that many, all over in the English foreign language context, writing is very difficult. The writing English is very difficult for teachers to teach and for students to learn. And so today, that's why I'm doing this particular lesson, to kind of give an easy way for teachers to start somewhere, at least plant a seed somewhere. So because English writing in English is difficult, it often discourages teachers from focusing on it, right? So I see a lot of times that the heavy focus is on grammar. The heavy focus is maybe on pronunciation. So why? I always have this question, why is writing important, right? So writing helps our students articulate their own unique perspectives about things. Okay, it helps them reflect on their own personal experiences and how important that is, right? So writing is actually helps support self-esteem, confidence, self-awareness, identity. Okay, how important is a student's and even a teacher's identity in the education field? Right. So through writing, students can clarify and express their beliefs, their values. It helps them reinforce their sense of identity, what is the result? It actually builds strength and resilience from within. They learn who they are. This is who I am in the world. Okay. And so it grounds them. It grounds them in who they are, their identity, their families, who they belong to. And it is really, really important for us to teach this to our students, especially with, just in the global sense, just to become part of being a global citizen. So today I'm going to go over a simple structure just to get started. Just for teachers to get started, I'm going to show you this structure. We're going to do it together, and then I'm going to have you do it by yourself, and then maybe we can share a little bit, see what your experience was in writing this. Okay, so the standard structure of this is first a claim, then next evidence, then third is commentary, right? So what is the claim, right? What is the main point of what you want to say, right? It could be like a simple sentence. Sometimes we can switch this with thesis, but claim is more in this kind of more simplistic way of learning this. Think of it as a statement that answers a question or an idea that you want to prove. So whether we have 4 different types of writing, which is argument, expository, narrative, persuasive, and this structure works for all 4 of those different types of structure. The next thing we want to look at is evidence, right? So you want to make sure that what you're saying can be proven, has a strong statement. And so we will use facts and examples or quotes that support the claim. It's information that helps show what am I saying and is what I'm saying true and valid. Okay? Next, finally, is the commentary. Now, has anybody ever watched a soccer game? Right? You've watched a soccer game, right? You know the guys who are talking in the background and he's going, go. That's commentary. Okay. He is telling us what is happening there, right? This player kicked this ball and it hit the goal. And this is form of commentary. You are speaking about what is happening. And so we do this in writing. I will present evidence and then I'll turn around and I will summarize it or paraphrase it. And I will say, this is what the author is saying. This is what the essay or the report is saying. And I'll show you this as an example. Okay. Next. So we're going to work on this particular one right now, right? So in my classroom, I'll always give this particular example because it's, something maybe students can relate to. So my claim here, I am making a claim. My claim is cats make better pets than dogs. Okay? Now, when you look at my structure, first of all, I make the claim, right? So if you think cats make better pets or you think dogs make better pets, it's your claim, no problem. As long as you have some evidence to prove that your claim is a good one, right? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to provide evidence. Now, when I provide evidence, this is where I will teach my students how to do a little bit of research. Okay. Now, I don't want to get into chat GPT because this is just not the time for that, but we can find, we can help our students and teach them how to find articles that are very credible, right? Articles that are credible from authors. The next thing I want to do is once I find my evidence, I want to take the evidence and I'm going to make my commentary about the evidence that I found. Okay. So remember, claim, cats make better pets. Evidence, then I'm going to find my evidence. And then finally, I'm going to make my commentary. So think of it as a 3-step process. It's kind of like the beginning of, how we want our students to start. Okay. Next, now I searched on the internet and I found a very interesting article. There's actually 2 articles. There's one for dogs make better pets, and then there's another one where cats make better pets. Now, this is such a nice opportunity for me to kind of show my students a good article, one that is credible, one that has credible authors. Okay, so the following article is 11 reasons why cats make better pets than dogs, right? If you like dogs, trust me, there's one for the dogs too, so don't worry, okay? And so when I looked at this article, I looked up Christina Donnelly, who is she? And this article was actually reviewed by a veterinarian, okay, Alicia Washington. Now, I'm going to take this opportunity and I'm going to ask my students, do you guys think that this is a good article we can use? And we're going to look at it and we're going to say, yes, Christina Donnelly always writes articles about animals and pets. She has like an education background in animal studies. And Alicia here is a veterinarian. This article was actually reviewed by a professional specialist, right? So I'm going to ask my students, we need to find evidence, but I can't just find any evidence out there. I need to make sure that the evidence I found is legitimate, is credible. Okay, so you can actually integrate a little bit of media literacy in here. How do we go on the internet and how do we find credible sources and things like that? And then you can go into, or I'll print out this particular article and ask my students to highlight what they think is the most important evidence that we can use and take them step by step in this process. I can do this for a week. Like seriously do this for a week, what I'm doing with you for 30 minutes, but I want to break it down into small chunks for my students. So we're going to, have this article. I'm going to have my students read it. Maybe they could read it with partners. And then I'm going to ask them, look for some credible evidence. What are some of the reasons she states why cats make better pets, right? So then I found one. Okay, so, and look at the way that I start. Now, I will give them what we call a sentence frame. Everybody knows what a sentence frame is. And I will put this on the board and I will say, complete the sentence frame in the article, blank. who is the name of the author. Now, I'm teaching them how to cite evidence, right? We want to teach them not to just copy and paste or write things and it's their own. No, I want you to now cite. Now we're going to learn another skill, which is how to cite an author, right? So I'll give them a sentence frame like this, and I'll say, mention the article, mention the author, and tell what is the author explaining, right? So here's an example. I say, in the article, and then I mention the article, 10 Reasons Why Cats Are Better Than Dogs, Christina Donnelly explains that plenty of exercise is vital to a dog's health. Cats are perfectly happy napping, hanging out on the couch, and playing with their toys at home alone while you work the day away. Okay? So what am I saying? I can have a cat and I don't need to do anything, right? I come home, they're there, they've eaten, they've, done their thing, and I don't have to worry about them. Now, dogs are different. I have to go walk them and take care of them and do all this. There's a bigger responsibility attached to having a dog than having a cat. So now we're having this discussion in the classroom, right? So we're going to have the dog people, we're going to have the cat people, and then they're going to go back and forth to find the most credible evidence for this particular topic. Now, for me, my claim is what? Cats are better than dogs. And here's one claim. Right? Here's the evidence. I actually took this from the article, right? I mentioned the article's name. I mentioned the author, and then I use what we call a reporting verb. Reporting verbs are verbs that say what the author is saying. The author will explain, the author will state, the author said. So instead of saying said all the time, you can actually give them a list of reporting verbs. The author explains, the author stated, the author argues, there's a host of them. Now, next, commentary. Right after the evidence, I am going to now look at the evidence and I'm going to restate it and summarize it. This report explains that dogs need a lots of exercise to stay healthy, but cats are fine just lounging around, napping, and playing with toys at home while you're at work and school. So what did I do? I basically, again, referred back to the article, referred back to the author. So I'm not plagiarizing because I mentioned, right? I already mentioned the author, I mentioned the article. And then I'm going to restate what the author said. I'm going to revalidate what the author said. And here is what it looks like as a whole. Okay, here is my paragraph for this particular topic. There are many reasons why cats are better than dogs. Claim. In the article by Christina Donnelly, the author states, now, I just mentioned the article, I just mentioned the author, and I have a reporting verb, states that, again, plenty of exercise is vital to a dog's health. Cats are perfectly happy napping, hanging out on the couch, and playing with their toys at home alone while you work the day away. Commentary. This article explains that dogs need lots of exercise to stay healthy, but cats are fine just lounging around, napping, playing with their toys at home while you're at work or at school. Now, this particular structure is really good for students when they are in the beginning of their writing stages. You're giving them rules, right? They need it. They need structure and rules. So guys, today we're going to do claim, evidence, commentary. Claim, evidence, commentary. And as the students get more and more comfortable with this, I can tell them in a body paragraph, do this twice. Have two pieces of evidence, you'll have your claim, two pieces of evidence, and two pieces of commentary. So in a body paragraph, claim, evidence, commentary, and the final sentence. and they have a body paragraph. Okay, one body paragraph. And so you can do this with, of course, narrative writing. When you're writing a story, it's a little different because you have a beginning, middle, and end. But this works well for expository, informative essays, argumentative essays, persuasive essays, informative essays. This is a good structure to have students begin and just really start there. Okay. All right. Now, your turn. Okay. You are going to write a claim, evidence, and commentary on the following topic: the good and bad effects of video games on children. Now, let's look at this article, right? Again, we're going to do a little bit of media literacy investigation, a little bit of detective work. Now, can anybody tell me, do you think this article would be a good article to use with students, and why? You can either unmute yourself or you can say it in the chat.
Any volunteers?
Any volunteers? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute yourself. Do you think that this article, looking at it, do you think it would be a credible article to use?
I can start
Good evening. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, go ahead.
So, good evening. Thank you for such interesting topic. I'm very interested in it myself, like about academic writing. So, and about this topic that if we can choose it for our students, I think yes, definitely, because students like technology, they like playing video games, and I think that this topic will be appropriate and very interesting for them. And I think that more students will be for, but however, we might find someone who may not like it.
True, true. And because, we're always, as teachers, we're always looking to motivate our students, right? So a topic like this might be interesting for them, especially maybe the young men in the class, which are the ones that we need to motivate, because somehow the girls are just a little better, But looking at this article, do you think it would be appropriate for us to use it with our students, and why? What do you see here that we might say this is good for academic writing because it's an academic article?
Yeah, I think it will be interesting for students and appropriate because even when the students will make their research on topic, they will be interested like to find the bad and good effects of it, and it will be easy for them to write. Like it's
Good.
something that they use in their life, and it's easy topic for them.
And then what I want you to look at is look at who's sponsoring the article. The Institute for Educational Advancement. Okay, let's look at the chat. It's students will choose the good side. You're absolutely right. Okay. You might, and you know what I would do? I would split the class in two and make them do the opposite of what they believe. That is a really good exercise because they have to find, they have to be able to argue. So when we're looking at an article like this, absolutely, first of all, the students will be interested in it. Because most students play video games, they like it, and sometimes as parents we love to complain that they play video games too much, and here they get a chance to give us some real evidence as to why video games would be great to play, right? And so here, what I wanted you to see is the Institute for Educational Advancement. And we want our students to be able to look at this and say, you know what? Yeah, we can use this article because an Institute for Education wrote this. So we may have some credible sources. And we want to teach them how to see this, how to grasp this. Okay? So this article is online. you can find it. And what I want everybody to do is take a few minutes so people will come in and out and wonder what we're doing. We can explain it to them. Okay. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to find this article online, right? The good and bad effects of video games on children. Make sure you find this particular one because I went through it and it has some good, credible resources. The authors are specialists. So let's make sure that we're always choosing articles that has some kind of specialist speaking. Okay. So find this article. Let me know when you have it. You can give us a thumbs up once you found it online. And give me a thumbs up once you find this article. Awesome. Sandbark found it. Awesome. And anybody else? Okay, great. Great. Thank you for putting in the link for us. Great support. Okay, awesome. Excellent, excellent. Use the link that's in the chat right now. And what I want you to do, okay, and let's look at the structure. Okay, so now your turn. We're going to get quiet for about 5 minutes, and I want you to practice this particular structure. Okay, so the topic is, and you get to choose the claim. Do you want to say that video games are harmful, or do you want to say video games are beneficial? Write your claim. Choose one piece of important evidence in the article. Take about a minute to just briefly go through, see if you can find something. Here is your sentence starter in the article. Okay. In the article, mention the title, mention the author, explains that video games are harmful because video games are beneficial because, and then after that, in the article, the author states, make your commentary, okay? I'm just going to give you about 4 or 5 minutes just to put the little bit of practice in it. Here is the structure. We have it here, okay? Evidence and then commentary. And take about a minute or so, about 4 minutes, let's say. I'll time this.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I have a question. May I?
Sure. Oh, please. Yes, go ahead.
So the student must write only essay or with these activities or make a little story or and discuss in a group maybe.
So what I would do to start students off is start with this simple structure. Don't start with an essay. They're not ready for that. So what you
Okay,
do is, yes, start with this. Let's write a claim, let's write evidence, one piece of evidence and commentary, and do that with them until they become very comfortable with it.
okay. What
And
about
then,
discussing?
and then you can move on to one body paragraph, and
Uh-huh.
then move on to add an introduction and a conclusion to this body paragraph. You see how I'm going step by step with them?
So I think, but not all students are activity. So that's why I think to discuss the article in group with each other, maybe they will
Absolutely.
be
Yes, yes,
fine.
yes, yes. Uh-huh. Like I said, I would spend one day, one class period
Yeah.
with them just reading the article. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Like I said, I could do this for 1 week with them. I will talk to them about the structure. I will give them the article, and then in a group, we discuss the article together.
Yeah, I think
Am I
they will be
answering
fine.
your question? Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I would take
Okay,
one class period, just maybe even 2 class periods, just reading the article.
okay.
Because if we don't give the students the information, they will not write. They can't write. It's going to be hard. We have to give them the language. We have to give them what to say, and then they produce that through the writing.
Thank you for good information.
You're welcome. Very good question. Yes. Very good, Nasiba.
Your structure is quite easy, like, you always, so I just, so you need to paraphrase, but I decided not to paraphrase for a while, but later on we can paraphrase it.
Yes, yes, no,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. No, that's exactly, and like I said, in the begin, I would spend a week doing this, just teaching them this small part. Then the next week
Mm,
we do it again. Then the next week we do it again. When I see all my students have it, now let's do it 2 times and build one body paragraph. When we do that, now let's write the introduction and conclusion.
yeah.
Next time, let's do 2 body paragraphs. And we're going to do this structure over and over again. It really makes it quite easy for them.
Yes, it's kind of
Because they,
building like, small,
yes.
small skills at
Mhm.
a time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I know, like, for example, in Kazakhstan, the students don't have any kind of academic writing courses. Now, in the United States, it's a little different because they start very young with the writing. And I realize that here they don't have academic writing in English, which is, has to be for communication. And yeah. And this is just, I've always found this to be like the easiest way to do that. So. And you keep building over the year, and you'll see your students, like I even have them keep portfolios the first time they wrote and at the end of the year, and they get to see their growth and they get really proud of themselves and
Yeah,
how they
exactly.
do. Okay,
That's
good.
wonderful. That's
Yeah,
wonderful. Thank you for sharing your structure and your tips.
absolutely. Anybody want to read what they wrote? Anybody would like to give us a start? And if you look at the chat, you will see what Nasiba did in her structured writing. And would anybody like to share what they learned from this and how their process of writing is going?
It's kind of really easy because, like, from the academic point of view, I remember my college year, my university years, like, the teachers explained it in a not easy way, but kind of in a very complex way. So kind of, yeah, you need to be proficient in that and start doing like that. And it was very difficult because again, like, since we are coming from the Soviet time and, at that time, like, uh, kind of analyzing skills and kind of like, paraphrasing skills were very weak because we usually just, stated everything as chunks from the books and just inserted them rather than like, mentioning and also citing those and paraphrasing some ideas. And they also like, we lacked critical thinking in some terms, and it was very difficult. I remember when I went to the United States to do my study. And like for the first 3 months, it was very difficult for me. But then I learned how to do it, like, little by little. And I think this is very important because, like, yeah, it's a very important skill because sometimes, like, even when you think and when you want to persuade someone, you need to be able to bring some evidences, yeah, and also just, make very strong argumentation in order to prove your point and also to share your point. And even in this article, I was really surprised to see that there are 7 good benefits and only 3 negative negative sides of that,
Yes,
which
yes.
in favor of
Sure.
that.
And
Yeah,
Educational Institute is saying this. So wow, it's kind of opens your eyes to, well, maybe it's not so bad, it's not such a
yeah.
bad thing. But when we're doing something like this, we're doing reading skills, writing skills, media literacy, because I want my students to choose the best evidence, choose the best articles. There is an integration of everything coming together in this. And I would take my time. I will do this with them for a month until I know every student has it. And it's just a combination of everything.
Yeah,
Writing skills,
exactly.
reading skills, critical thinking skills, analyzing skills, because they have to sit and they have to analyze which is the best evidence I need to use.
Yeah,
Okay?
exactly. Yeah.
Somebody
May I
has
say
their
about
hand.
claim?
Go
Yes,
ahead. Yes.
it's me.
Yeah,
Yes.
Zaranga,
Okay.
please go ahead.
About claim, I want to say I skim the text, and I want to say that we can write the video games can be both beneficial and harmful to children, depending on how they are used.
You can do that, but I recommend early in the process not to do that. Because you want the students to focus on one argument. You can do, yes, you can. But I would let the students focus their writing on one side only in the beginning. And in order to do both sides, what ends up happening is the student loses the focus and the paper becomes confusing. Good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let
Yeah,
them
yeah.
focus
We just
only
should
on
think
one.
on
They
one.
have to
That
choose one claim. Either you're going to
okay.
choose it's beneficial or you're going to choose it's not beneficial.
Oh yes, it can. Then we can say that games can be beneficial for children. Yes.
Then video
Okay.
games are beneficial.
Beneficial for
Video games are beneficial for
beneficial
children.
for
And
children.
then what about that? What
Yes.
did you put as your evidence? What did you put there?
They can enhance creativity and problem solving.
Very good.
That
That's great. That's the piece of evidence
yes.
right there in the article.
Yeah,
The
they
title of the
can.
article. The
Yes,
author
maybe
explains that.
they also explains that. They also explain that video games, like the name of these games, enhance creativity and problem solving. And what about commentary? I think that we can say the article displays or highlights that while video games can develop useful skills like memory, like useful skill like memory, because they think when they play with such kind of games, when author mentioned that they can solve problems, they can think, yes, they can create, when it enhance creativity, we can say that it can develop useful skills like memory and of course leadership maybe.
Good. And you know what I would have them do? I will ask them, tell me about your experience.
Oh yes.
What about
Of
your
course.
experience? Do you think, and they'll say, in my experience, video games do, because I have to figure out like where to go and how to beat someone. And now they're putting themselves, now they're making a connection. And that
actually,
connection
I did it
means,
this year. I did it, yes, this year. At the
great,
beginning,
great.
when they came after holiday, I asked them, I said that I will not ask you how many books did you read because you didn't read. And they smiled because all of them have phone and they played. And I said, okay, what kind of games did you play? And like they put in one side their fear that now we should tell about our book, our story, which and they quickly started to say about the games which they learned, which they played. Then I said to them, did this game give you something new? Then they looked at each other. One of them said, I became master of this in this game. And one of them said, I learned how to go from one step to another. But I said, no, I'm not saying about this, about your skill. How did you improve? I'm just asking you, did you use such kind of game that it improves your education, improved your education? Did you gain something new from this? And they felt shy, they looked at each other and said, no, teacher, really, we didn't play with such kind of. Then I explained it for them that we, of course, we can play these games, but we should choose such kind of game that we can learn something new, not just for play, yes, just for entertaining ourselves. No, just we should learn something new from the game. It should be beneficial for our education, for our knowledge. And they really started to think about this.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So I see a couple of examples in the chat. Very nice. And this is something we would practice over and over again. Don't forget to write the title of the article. Don't forget to mention the author. Use your reporting verbs. Did the author explain? The author is arguing. The author is stating. What is it? What is the author doing in this one? And then your commentary, right? The author explains that video games help students become more creative, develop critical thinking skills. I mean, like I would mention a lot of the students that I met in Kazakhstan whose, their English language some of the students' English language is so developed. And I'm like, how did you learn how to speak like this? And they're like, video games, they communicate with everyone around the world. And I'm like, that is amazing. Okay. So really, really amazing. So this is the structure because I want us to have time for some questions. The next thing I would do with them is I would make them check each other, right? I always tell my students, go ask 2 people before you come and ask me, okay? Because somebody else in the class knows. So what I would do is I would make a peer editing checklist, a cute little checklist, and I will say, now switch papers, make sure that your classmate, your peer next to you, they have the capital letters, are appropriate punctuation, spelling. Did the student mention the article? Did they mention the author? Did they mention a reporting verb? Check it for them, help each other. That also kind of solidifies the skill because now they have to check it for someone else. And that really solidifies the skill for them. Sounds good? So you can make this any way you want to for any kind of writing assignment. Just have them do a checklist, write the student's name, who is the writer, who is the editor, and see, did they do all of these things? And they're actually checking each other. And it's not just, we're writing like a community together as teammates, really, really helps solidify the skill for them. Okay. And another thing I would do with students is I would place a reflection piece, and I will ask the students to answer these questions, and I will say, hey, circle 1. And the students will say, this was so confusing, I need more help. So I want everybody in the chat to tell me how they feel about this lesson. So was this totally confusing for you? This is not the easiest for me, but I'll get there. I feel pretty comfortable with this, or I understand this well enough to teach someone. So right now, take 30 seconds and put your answer in the chat. Which one are you? Number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4? Okay, all right, Nasiba, number 3. Thank you. Anybody else? Everybody has to put a number. Are you number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4? Which one are you? Farida is a number 3. Great, it's 3. Awesome. 4, yay. 2, awesome. But you'll get there, right? I always tell my students, you don't know it yet, but you will get there. Great. Awesome. Very good. Very good. So I will, in a lesson like this, I will make them peer edit their work. I will make them make a reflection, and it really helps to get the skill in their mind, like to keep, asking these questions. Great. 3. This is pretty comfortable. Yes. It does not need to be perfect. Not in the beginning. Does not need to be perfect. And if I can get my students at a 2, I am happy that day. I don't know everything, but I think with more practice, I can get this. Great, great, great. Okay. All right. So before we ask any questions, I'd like you to join me on my Instagram page. If you have any questions, or if you would like any additional resources, I would be happy to message you back with some extra resources, even for your own academic writing, because I know teachers sometimes have to do their own academic writing. I can definitely lead you to different sites and websites on how to help with your own academic writing, and I can help send resources and things like that, so you can join me. Message me if you need to. Thank you, Shoira. I hope I said your name right. Thank you, thank you. Great.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, dear Ghadah.
You're welcome,
Let's
yes.
open the floor to questions and answers. So, yes, dear audience, if you have any questions, you can put your questions in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. So, to start with, I would like to ask a question, Ghadah, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course.
So, yes, do you like the structure that you showed us is quite easy and interesting. Do you use the same structure for different level of your students, or you still adapt it to their level? What do you think?
So for my lower level students, I might start with just helping them read through the article. right? Read through the article, kind of define for them what is evidence, what is considered evidence, what's fact, what's opinion. I would kind of go over step by step. And you can even do that with the older students, because some, like the higher level, sometimes they get a little bit mixed up with the fact and opinion. So maybe I could do that as a whole class and go over that. What's the difference between statistics and somebody's opinion and things like that? So that structure, I would keep it for all levels. And you will see that the language would change over where the higher level students will use more advanced vocabulary, the lower level students would use maybe more simpler words, and that's fine. As long if they can keep that structure, then it helps them to organize their thoughts and their writing. Yeah. And sometimes I can tell them, you can change your style. Maybe you want to do evidence, commentary. Maybe you want to do 2 evidence, 2 commentary on top. So I'll tell them you can change the style if you want to of that for maybe the advanced students. Yeah.
And it's reasonable because, like, even I think even with the resources that you share for low-level students, you just try to simplify them for them to better understand.
Exactly.
Right?
Just simplify it, because you'll be surprised at what they can do when you simplify it and just show them step 1, step 2, step 3. Let's just do these 3 things.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have next question. What role does collaborative writing play in your teaching strategy, and how do you facilitate it?
So I will usually partner. So what I used to do is I would have either 2 students partner together and look for evidence and write commentary, or I can do it in a group of 4. I will do a group of maybe 2 partners, a group of 4, and I will give everybody a role. Your role is to write the claim. 2 people find the evidence, 2 people write the commentary, something like that. So the collaborative writing, you can give each student a role and have them do it together.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And for example, like, I know that to some extent, like, all those students who have really good speaking skills, it also can be reflected in their writing skills. So does it mean that you do lots of speaking and lots of discussion in your class before they actually start writing piece?
So the speaking is happening throughout the process, right? Because what are they doing, right? You have to make a claim and you have to argue this claim. You have to tell, why is your evidence important? So I think that when I do something like this, the speaking is happening throughout the whole process, from the beginning to the end. Okay, from the beginning of finding strong evidence, and then we would have discussions like, is your evidence really strong, or are you sure that's not an opinion? Are you sure that's a fact? Oh, hey, you found a statistic. That's great. So we're constantly talking and negotiating what's the best evidence, what's the best commentary. Did you just summarize? Did you just copy word for word? So it's happening throughout process.
Yeah, and it's also just, building the integrated skills, because, like, reading, like listening, and everything is involved in that. Yeah, thank
Everything.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we have a couple of more questions in the chat box. So do you have a list of criteria that you use to select age-appropriate topics and writing tasks for your lessons?
So for me, I make sure that when I give my students an article, I read through the whole thing. Okay, I will never give my students something I do not myself read and make sure that I'm careful with all the information that's there. The criteria should be, a topic of interest for the students. There's not too much opinion in it. There's more facts. There's more statistics. There's more good evidence that the students can pull from. So I'll be very careful. I will, again, I will, again, choose articles written by, research articles, or by universities, or by, teachers who teach young students, people who are specialists. That is really the criteria that I would use when I choose an article, and then I want to teach my students how to find those articles also.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we have another question from Abdul Khaliq. What strategies can be used to encourage creativity and critical thinking, I guess, of students?
And you're doing that from the very beginning, because when you give them the reading, they have to find the evidence and they have to think about, and what are they doing? They're analyzing, they're evaluating, right? And they're pulling the most important evidence. We have to check this because sometimes students don't understand everything they read and they will just use evidence that's not important. So that's a teaching moment. I'll say, try again and find the right evidence, and I will give them hints, like, does it have a percentage? Is there numbers tied to it? Like, oh, 100 pets were tested somewhere for some reason, and who are the most independent pets or something, looking for those little hints and all that. And the creativity is them, and the creativity comes with them structuring and how to use the language and how to use words, and making connections with the information becomes the creativity part. Writing integrates all of that together. Reading, creativity, critical thinking, it's all them doing it. And it's even better when we put them in groups and do it together. Sometimes when I had like let's say a class of like A2 or B1 students, I would have 4 people write one paragraph and do it together. Because what happens is one person might not know, but another one does, and he's actually teaching the one who doesn't know. And that's collaborative writing, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Thank you.
So they can all do it by themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you. So, next question, what free professional development opportunities would you recommend for educators seeking to enhance their ability to teach academic writing to young learners?
So if you go to, is everybody familiar with Open and MOOCs? I believe they have an
Yes.
academic writing modules, MOOCs and Open courses. Yes, just look at that. There's one for academic writing. I know that I saw it.
Okay, thank you. And another question, how do you think can we use movies, cartoons, or fairy tale for academic writing?
It depends on the topic, I think. For maybe narrative writing, I personally would want my students reading something for sure. Get the reading skills in there with the writing, right? Now, if they want to use a cartoon as an example in their commentary, I might say, okay, that's okay, for them to do that. No problem. I saw, I saw this cartoon, and this happened in the cartoon, and this kind of connects to what I'm saying and things like that. They can do that. They can get creative in that way. Sure. But my recommendation would let them read and let them be able to pull evidence from the text, because that is really an important skill, especially as they get older and start entering the higher grades. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, next question, how to motivate our students in writing mostly at schools? I think Parvina is sharing her experience. My son studies at school where writing is very less.
So what do you want to do? You want to mention that to the school? Is that, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I think she's an educator, and maybe she wants to encourage the teachers that there are, some strategies or some techniques to motivate students, at schools.
So let me ask everybody a question. Do you think this technique might be motivating for students? This simple 3-step technique, do you think that they would find this doable and reasonable to do?
Yes, many respond yes, and it's very easy, clear, and
Mhm.
like, build skills at a
Mhm.
times, even
Mhm.
like, if they have zero knowledge about academic writing and how to get started, at least like, these steps, like, will help them, and the practice will make perfection over the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the motivation, sometimes we think, oh, we need to motivate our students and we need to show videos and we need to show them cartoons and I personally don't think so. I think that when we teach the structure and we teach it clearly, I think students feel good and they feel like they can do it. And that is a motivator in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. And I think the last question, which comes from Farida, she's basically asking about the rubrics. So, okay, because scoring rubrics, so what should include best writing, and do you have any rubrics? Just,
I do.
to
I
make
actually, my rubrics. So what I do is there are rubric generators all over the internet. You can use any one you want to. And whatever criteria you gave your students, right? For example, my criteria was, do you have a clear claim? Do you have like connectors? Did you mention the article? Did you mention the author? Did the student, these would be my scoring rubric. I would give them specific. I would give the students the rubric first so they could know what I'm looking for. Right? Oh, she wants to see that I wrote the author. She wants to see that I wrote evidence. Do you have clear evidence? Did you mention the author? Did you mention the title? So I would put these in the rubric, give them points, right? 3 points if you mentioned the author, 1 point if you didn't write the author's name and you said him or her or something like that, things like that. So there are rubric generators out there. You can make your own. And just whatever you're expecting from your students, write it in the rubric and explain to them, this is how you're going to be graded.
Yeah, and it's quite fair. So
Mhm.
both sides are aware of what the best
Yes.
example should consist of. And then like, even for the students, like,
Mhm.
it will be kind of very clear from the beginning, like,
They know,
yeah.
because sometimes students are like, what does my teacher want? I don't know what she wants. But when I give them a rubric, they know what I want. This is what you're going to do here. And then I would make the peer review. For example, when their other classmates is grading them, I would say, did they write an author? Did they write the evidence? Do they have transitions and things like that? Do they have the capital letters, punctual? I would have already their peer checking all of this. And then they would let them know, hey, you're missing this. Maybe you want to rewrite this or whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think
Absolutely.
like,
My pleasure.
all the questions, yeah. So you responded to almost all the questions. And yes, of course, like, yeah, uh, huge thanks on behalf of all our audience who are
My
watching us
pleasure. Absolutely.
Zoom and Facebook. So yeah, this webinar will be still in archive on Facebook. So whenever you want, anybody who missed today's webinar, you still can watch it in recordings on our Facebook. And by today, we had over 170 webinars. So yeah, if you want us to go through all the webinars because they are on different topics, they're all, yes, you are welcome. You can just go to our Facebook page and just search according to the quest title, and then like you'll be able to find like a number of webinars who are related to to one specific topic, and you can view and use some techniques and tips in your classroom. And again, thank you so much, dear Ghadah. Like, it was a great webinar. I enjoyed myself, and also like, everybody who are
Anytime.
watching it, they're enjoying. And we hope to see you more in the future.
Absolutely. Let me
Yeah,
know
and yeah,
if you
sure.
need anything
We'll
else.
stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Great,
and
great.
wishing you all the best in the coming year. And of
Thank you
course,
so
we will be happy to see you someday in Tajikistan as English
I would
language
love it.
fluent.
I would love it. Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much for everybody taking the time tonight to come, and thank you for giving me your time and all your wonderful questions. I really appreciate all of that.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Great.
Have a great, yes, have a great evening, dear all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Very
Bye
much.
bye.